Crew 113 and some involvement with the pack still to this day. I've been involved with the NYLT program now for about 5 years, since Betty kind of dragged me in a number of years ago, initially as her health director, and then as quartermaster, and would have been scoutmaster for last year's program, which unfortunately we did cancel because of COVID. So this year I'll be covering it with the same staff we had last year. So basically NYLT is the youth version of Wood Badge. So those of you who have done the Wood Badge training, our training program is very, very similar, but it's brought down to the youth level. The biggest difference is we don't have critters in NYLT. We have patrol colors, but it's a great program to develop your older scouts who you think are coming up to a leadership position. I typically send at least 2 scouts every year, and they're typically the ones I feel are going to be my senior patrol leaders over the next couple of years. The program really teaches the boys and young ladies now to have a youth-led troop or crew. That's what we're really out to do. We're out to teach them how to lead their crews. So most of the program actually is run by the youth. I'm there to oversee it, along with, actually I saw one of my assistant scoutmasters, Greg Sesney's out there in the audience too. Greg will be working with me. And then I brought along a couple other staff members. Dan Lutens is here with us. Dan is going to be one of our assistant senior patrol leaders this year. Unfortunately, our senior patrol leader couldn't make it because he had to work tonight. And I also brought with me my daughter Megan, who was one of the first female youth in council to take NYLT training a number of years ago. And we've just kind of not let her go. So she actually is going to be our quartermaster for the program this year. So Dan, you want to jump in and tell a little bit about why you like NYLT and why you came back as a staff member?
Certainly. So as Mr. Cuizar said, my name is Daniel Ludens. I've been involved pretty much since the earliest I could. I've been involved in the NYLT program. Whenever I was 13, since my age, I was first class at 13, and they made an exception in allowing me to come a bit earlier than most scouts would. So I went and participated in 2014, I believe, my first NYLT thing. It was at Rotary, and I am not sure how familiar all of you with NYLT, but you're separated into patrols, and I was in the Red Patrol. The Red Patrol was a lot of fun to be part of. Like, while we learned stuff, you also found friendships, and you got to know the people in patrol. You did everything together. While you learned, you helped each other learn. You went out, had fun, played games together whenever you weren't actively going to either presentation or cooking in some other activity that the staff had planned. So after that year, I was invited back by Miss Betty to staff again as a JASM the next year, which helps in the kitchen, helps the quartermaster. I accepted, and I went back and did that. That was a huge amount of fun that year. I enjoy working in the backgrounds, and like I was helping everywhere at once. I got to see how the training worked, which is a very impressive piece of moving parts, because everything had to move in a certain way at a certain time to make sure all of the participants got and had the presentations they needed to, got the food they needed to when they needed it, and then still managed to stay on schedule. Then after that year, which we had, I believe we had a lower staff than we thought we were going to. We had a slightly understaffed, but that was okay. We still managed to get through. The next year was whenever we started, I believe, the next year I was a troop guide. So a patrol guide. So I went and with the patrols, and I basically helped them through the program as they went along. I basically, for the first half of the week, I was there for every meal, helping make sure that they got to things on time, that they weren't struggling super hard, and just like help them as much as they could without telling them how to do it. I was like, I was there as a safety net, not to show them how to do it, but to just, if they needed some assistance, I could help them. Just like if they were struggling, like they failed to get on the classes on time, I would tell them that, hey, you guys are running pretty late. You probably want to think about getting going, and so on and so forth.
Thanks, Dan. Megan, are you there? I can't see.
I'm here.
This is Megan. Megan is, again, she was one of the first female to go through the program as a venturer, and then became one of the first female youth staff members, and has worked her way up to now where she will be the quartermaster in charge of all supplies, equipment, the cooking that has to be done for the pre-course, and then providing all the food out. So Meg, you want to talk a little bit about number one, your experience as a female going through the program as a youth, and where you hope to see the program going?
Yeah, so like my dad said, I was one of the first females to ever take the course through venturing. I was 14 back in 2012. That was the first year, and then skipped 2 years forward because there were only 2 girls who took it that year, and so they had to wait until they had another female able to staff. I was asked, so 2014 was the first year I staffed it. And I found the whole thing a great experience. I've never felt that I was looked at differently just because I was a girl. Everyone was helpful. Everyone was always kind, followed by the Scout Oath and Law. I really enjoyed all the friends I've met there. I still keep in touch with a lot of them. And that was just, and some of them are still from that first year I took the course. And then once I got on staff, I started out as a troop guide, and I just kept working my way up. And like my dad said, they haven't let me go. I've held positions as an assistant senior patrol leader. I was also the first female senior patrol leader to run the course. And like I said earlier, it is a youth-led course. So I was really in charge of making sure the entire camp ran with Betty as my scoutmaster. And she was always there for me to go to if I needed help. But I felt with my training from when I took the course and all my experience being troop guide and assistant senior patrol leader, I felt really prepared through the program to take on the role as senior patrol leader. And it was a great experience then for that too. And then the next year was a little fuzzy of a year because I had to work during camp, and I was only 20, so I wasn't a full adult yet in terms of scouting. So I was the staff mentor. And so I was able to come when I can, help out behind the scenes with wherever they needed me, whatever they needed me to do. And so now I'm working my way through quartermaster, learning kind of, I did that 2 years ago at the Waukpaniemi course. I was more of like the assistant quartermaster because I was still kind of learning the job and the position. I wasn't fully comfortable yet with myself taking on the role as a whole, but I had lots of help there, and everyone was great to work with because Waukpaniemi was a new camp for me. I usually work in the Rotary camp. And then this year I'll be taking on quartermaster fully. We'll be back at Rotary, which will be great for me because I'm more comfortable with the camp, more familiar with the layout. So it'll be easier for me to get around and making sure everyone has all the equipment they need. And I've just found the program as a whole a great experience. I really hope I can keep doing it. I really hope the pandemic doesn't mess that up too much. I hope to further one day take wood badge, so then maybe I can scoutmaster the camp at some point. And I've just loved all the people I've gotten to know through the camp, and it's been a great way to kind of get me into like council stuff versus just kind of being in my own patrol or my own crew at home.
Okay, thanks, Meg. So just a quick recap, as Betty already said, the course is going to run the last week of June, right after school gets out. That's the traditional week when it runs at Rotary. We haven't done this in several years, but traditionally we had gone to 2 courses, one in June and one in August at Waukpaniemi. 2 years ago, we could not run the Rotary course due to the school schedule. And last year, of course, we ran no courses due to pandemic. So it felt this year with kind of everybody rebuilding that we would go back to the one course at Rotary and see how it works out. Hopefully the pandemic doesn't stop us. We're able to get the course off. So we'll just be the one course. So please get your reservations in early. It is up on the council website already. So you can go there and click and get your kids registered. I believe the links are there for Betty and I as well. If you have any questions, feel free to call me, email me, or email Betty. She's be more than happy to answer questions. So any closing remarks, Betty?
Nope, I think you guys covered it all. Thanks a lot.
Great. Does anybody have any questions from the crowd real quick? We can take a couple if there are any for NYLT, or we can wait to the end if you think of it later on. Excellent. All right. Next up, Chief, you ready?
Yep. All right. So I have a slideshow for everyone to look at. So this will be a training discussing the Order of the Arrow in Catan Lodge. So with me, I have my 4 other members of the Catan Lodge officer body. So I have myself, Grant, I'm the chief. I have my 2 vice chiefs, Jack and Everett. I have my secretary, Fox, and my treasurer, Lance. So first we're going to discuss, who we are. So with the OA and as a whole, so a lot of lodges like to split into chapters, especially if they're like a larger lodge such as we are. So Catan Lodge, right, we're the Twin Rivers Council. And then we have 5 chapters, which are the same as the 5 districts. So Tamaki chapter is Fort Orange District, Loon chapter is Adirondack District, Knox and Emat chapter is Mohawk District, Taconic is Yankee Doodle, and Wackpomney is Turning Point. So each of these chapters have their own monthly meetings, they have their own events, but then they come together with the lodge to go to the meetings. And then, so we're the National Honor Society of Scouting. So what we focus on, our 3 points are brotherhood, cheerfulness, and service, which is in the Lenape language, which is when Montanding, when the Lausic with the Henway. So they're the 3 W's, as we like to call them. So for youth in the OA, it's we go up just like venturing or sea scouting. We go up until you're 20. So anyone from 10 to 20 who's in the OA is considered a youth. And then our adult advisors are 21 years and up. And so no matter how old you are, right, there's stuff for you to do in the OA, and it's a lifetime involvement. So we were created in 1915 at Treasure Island Scout Camp, which is in the Philadelphia area in New Jersey. So it was designed, the person running the camp kind of saw a need for older scouts to come in and help out and make sure the camp was all set up for the summer. And so they created the Order of the Arrow then, and it's existed ever since. We also do other support to the council, and so some of the stuff we've done at camp, we've done like the Gaga Ball pit at Rotary. We've helped out at the rifle and the archery range. We helped set up the campsites. Right at Wackpomney, we've done the pavilions, the parade field, the Cope course, the Gaga Ball pit. We've done a lot of projects at the camps.
All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Jack Schneider. I'm the Lodge Vice Chief of Administration, and I would like to talk to everybody about some of the opportunities the Order of the Arrow offers. So again, you might be asking yourself, what else is there to do in the Order of the Arrow? And one of the big things that the Order of the Arrow offers that's very unique are leadership opportunities. So in the Order of the Arrow, every position, every officer position, and every committee position has to be held by a youth member. So in the OA, youth members, again, is everyone below the age of 21. And so that extends all the way up to National Chief. So the National Chief of the Order of the Arrow is like 19, 20, and all the other officers are as well. And so this is a really great and really unique experience. So you have the main leadership roles. These are the officers. So you have the chief who's kind of in charge. They run the meetings, they plan them, they plan different events and different outings. You have the vice chief who kind of works as the chief's kind of right-hand man, if you will, just assisting wherever is needed. You have the secretary who, again, takes the notes at the meetings, serves and just helps out the other officers. The treasurer, very similar to the secretary, except they take care of the money aspect of it. And again, they help out with whatever the other officers need. And so all of those leadership roles at every level of the OA are elected. So really and they're elected only by youth members. Only youth members can vote in these elections. So again, everyone really gets to participate, and that's a really great thing. And there's committee roles as well, which are appointed by the chief to fill out certain tasks. Like we have an elections committee, a ceremonies committee, a history committee, etc. And these leadership roles are really great for two reasons. One, they build a lot of leadership experience that people really like my age and Grant's age and the rest of our, like in that age range, wouldn't really have the opportunity to have anywhere else. So that's a fantastic thing about it too. And also these leadership roles are great for these youth to come back to their troops with. I know that I had served in an OA officer role before I was SPL, and that really helped me there. It really helped me when some of the things I learned in the OA helped me when I was, say, running my Eagle project or working at camp. So again, I know a lot of Scoutmasters are a little bit hesitant because they think that the OA is going to take up a lot of time and a lot of commitment, especially from the officers. But that's one great thing, is it really gives back to the troop. Oh, thank you, Grant. Other ways we give back to the troops are service hours. Again, a lot of the stuff you do in the OA, a lot of these people are first class, star, life. These are really great opportunities for service hours, all of our different projects, like Grant mentioned, like the Gaga Ball Pit, like the ATV trails. We also offer the Troop OA rep, which is someone who kind of serves as a go-between between the troop and the OA. So they would go to every OA meeting and they would report back to the troop, and that counts as a leadership position for rank advancement. Leadership training, again, we have kind of three types of leadership training we offer in the OA. One, we have experience, which is always the best method of training with the officer positions. We have just our general like lodge run leadership training. So at every lodge meeting, we'll usually say a little bit about different leadership skills and different leadership strategies, as well as we also offer NLS, which is the National Leadership Seminar, which is very similar to NYLT, and that it's kind of a national run leadership training program. And then we also have campouts and hikes, which again are just always great opportunities for members of your troop to get out and just enjoy the outdoors, which is a big thing that scouting's for.
Hello, I'm Lance Garland. I'm the treasurer of Catan Lodge, and going to be talking about the high adventure opportunities that we have. So for anyone who's interested to go on a high adventure program, one of the first things you really need to know is price, because you can't go if you don't have the money. So, for example, to go to Philmont for 12 days, it's $970, or Summit for 7 days is $800, same as Sea Base for 7 days. And then Northern Tier for 7 days is $760. All right, so here you can see some kind of deals and advertisements we have for these high adventure programs. For like, you can see to go double the time is a lot less of a price. So you go for like 2 weeks, it's like $200 or $325. So it's a pretty good deal. But so since we have these high adventure opportunities and they're all offered, if you attend 3 of these treks or anything, you can earn this. One second. This is our high adventure Triple Crown patch. As you can see, there's actually 5 parts to it. because there's 5 different things you can do to earn a part to it. So if you really want to go above and beyond, you can earn all 5 or just get the 3, and you have the High Adventure Triple Crown.
All right. Hi, everybody. I'm the secretary. My name is Fox. So I'm going to talk a little bit about national events. So the OA has an equivalent of Jamboree. It's called NOAC, the National Order of the Arrow Conference. So airmen from across the nation gather for a week-long conference with activities, different trainings, shows every night, lots of different activities. So it's going to be the next NOAC. There was supposed to be one last year, but that got canceled. So the next NOAC is going to be July 25th through the 30th, 2022 at the University of Tennessee in Knoxville. So it's a really great time. Airmen from across the country gather to get involved, meet other people, and get to learn more about the OA and how to use leadership skills. And yeah. So Grant, if you can go to the next slide. So here's a picture of the 2015 NOAC, and then Conclave. So Conclave is a gathering. Okay, yeah, there's the picture of 2015 NOAC, which was the OA's centennial year also. So now Conclave is a gathering of the section. So the Northeast region is broken up into sections. So we are section NE3B. So that includes Catan Lodge, the lodge from Vermont, and 2 other lodges in New York. So Conclave is a gathering of the section with airmen from across the section. They gather for trainings, fun activities. It's held at a different camp each year, and there's like a rotation schedule. So this year it's actually going to be hosted here by Catan Lodge at Camp Waukpamani, August 27th through the 29th. Plans are going super well. There's going to be lots of different activities. We got shows, we got inter-lodge competitions, so many things for people to get involved with. So if you know any OA members, I highly encourage you get them to go to Conclave this year. And registration opens on April 1st. And it's basically like a mini NOAC. So there's less people, but there's still plenty of activities and opportunities to have fun. All right, thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Everett Noakes. I'm the Catan Lodge Vice Chief of Program. As many of you guys have already heard from the other officers, we have a lot of events to offer. From Conclave to NOAC at the national and section level, we also have many lodge events, which in my opinion, being vastly different from troop or crew events, we have many different items that we offer. Some of the more popular items at the events is, of course, you've got lots of food, ice cream, and movies. Throughout the days of some of our events like Fall Fellowship or just volunteer weekends, we offer a lot of different people coming and different stuff we do, which also include different hikes and camping trips. As we've mentioned before, we do volunteer weekends or service weekends at the 3 council camps, which many of the lodge members from across the council and lodge region come to attend. So they're really popular events that we have, and in my opinion, definitely a step up and a very good attention drawer to new scouts in the OA. Moving on, perhaps our most popular event of the year as a lodge is definitely Fall Fellowship. From October 15th to the 17th at Camp Waukpamani, always, we offer a pretty big weekend with tons of different events. As on a different note, we do many service weekends as well, but this is really a big event as a get together with scouts from across the lodge. As I mentioned before, our most popular event, we have upwards of 100 people. in normal years coming to participate. We have more events to offer. We've had the ATV experience. I remember in 2019 that was a big hit with a lot of the older scouts in the OA coming up to do that. Definitely my favorite is the giant patch auction that we have at the Saturday night. I remember we do have like 6 or 7 tables in the front, which is just auction off patches. We have trading patches, and it's really a big event where scouts can see a different culture, if you wish, from around the state and around the country in both scouting and venturing and OA alike patches and memorabilia. In addition to some of those events is definitely the training sessions we have to offer. Not only just informational sessions, but a lot of different stuff like skills offered at different areas at the camp. As many of you guys are familiar with, up at Waukpamity, we do have a COPE program. And being a big hit at Fall Fellowship, we do have different COPE events that we have there to offer. And definitely our biggest attraction is the Interlodge competition of Spikey's Cup. Out of the 5 chapters in the lodge, we all participate to see who can win on different events that we have to offer. We've had Jenga, we've had different chapter events where the chapter is able to compete to see who brings home the cup. So it's definitely a great weekend that we have to offer. And I encourage all OA members to come, whether youth or adult, because it really is a great weekend. And then finally, if you guys have any questions pertaining to the lodge or leadership at all, you guys can contact us at officers@catanlodge.org.
And follow us on Instagram and Facebook too.
Excellent. Awesome. Chief, you guys all set?
Yes. All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening.
Thank you.
Great job, guys. Great job. Let me switch back. All right. Next up, we have Cheryl. You want to talk to us a little bit about University of Scouting?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Just wanted to make everyone aware, if you aren't already, that we will be having a University of Scouting event this year. It will be virtual due to the COVID, but it will be on Saturday, March 20th, and we will begin at 8 a.m. and go to noon, and we will be offering 4 hours of courses. So each course will be 50 minutes, and then we'll give ourselves 10 minutes in between the courses to log off and get on to the next course that you choose. So again, Saturday, March 20th from 8 to noon. We do have registration already set up. There is no fee for the event this year. For those of us that are in council, if someone from out of council wants to attend, there is a $5 fee. And the course catalog is on the council website. And as I said, registration is ready to go. So you can look at the course catalog, pick the 4 classes that you would like to attend on that day, and sign up. And we look forward to seeing everybody that day.
Sure, I don't want to put you on the spot, but can you rattle off a couple courses that people can expect, maybe they can be familiar with or look forward to?
Yeah, we sure do. We have a couple of new things that are going to be coming on for Cub Scouts this year, one of which is a virtual Cub Scout meeting ideas. This is going to be a new course for Cub Scouts in hopes of helping some of those den leaders out there that are having difficulties putting meetings together that keep the attention of the Cub Scout level boys and girls for that age group, being that it's virtual. We are continuing SA level with a lot of our favorite ones like hiking and backpacking. We also will offering a couple of advancement courses that talk about the Life to Eagle and advancements and effective board of reviews. And then of course, we're offering a number of general studies courses that will teach you about membership and recruiting, and also talking about some summer camp opportunities, and as well as marketing your unit. And then to round it off, we do have some technology courses that we're offering this year. We will be offering 2 different Scout Book courses. One will be the Scout Book for the Cub Scout level, and the other will be Scout Book for Scouts BSA and Venturing, as well as Principles of Social Media. So those technology courses will give us an opportunity to learn about the online policies and procedures that we should be doing, as well as all of the information for Scout Book that you can use as leaders to keep yourself abreast of everything that's going on within your units.
Cool. Fantastic. Thanks so much, Cheryl. Any questions for Cheryl on the University of Scouting? Anybody want to rattle off right now?
I do have a question, Cheryl. Is there a limited number for the classes?
No, we don't have a limit. There are the classes that we chose this year. We didn't really feel that it would be difficult to conduct any of those being virtual. We are asking our staff members to have a second staff member available with them, so that as a staff member is teaching a course, somebody else can be looking at the chats and keeping track of the slides and anything that needs to present and be shared on the screen.
And is there an age limit?
No, actually, a couple of years ago, we opened up the University of Scouting and allowed youth to participate in the courses. And we normally would have a group of youth courses that we would be offering. This year, with it being a virtual event, our youth group had decided that they wouldn't offer anything this year, but youth can certainly sign up and register for any of the courses that we have listed.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Question from Anne Marie. Will the courses be recorded?
That's a good question. I think that would be up to the individual instructors. As long as they're okay with it, then I would say that I don't see a reason why we couldn't record the classes.
Okay. So maybe more information to come on that.
Yes.
All right. Very well. Great. Thanks so much, Cheryl. And if anybody has any questions, we'll have a little session at the end. You can ask them then if you can't think of it right now, or pop them in the chat and we'll get it from there. So great. Thanks so much, Cheryl.
You're welcome.
Next up, Brian, you want to do a quick camping update for everybody?
Sure. Good evening, everyone. One of the focuses of I think the next council roundtable is going to be more on our camping program. So I'm going to save some stuff for then, but just to give you a couple of highlights of what's going on right now. And then I've got one topic I want to talk about a little bit more in depth. This year, we are doing resident camp for Scouts BSA at Rotary Scout Reservation. And we are doing short-term camping programs this summer at Camp Waukpamity for Scouts BSA. So Frank and his team at Camp Waukpamity have been working on putting together some plans for short-term weekend programs surrounding the ATV program and some of the other activities that are available up at Waukpamity for this summer. And then the full week resident camp program will be held with us down at Rotary. So we got good registrations already in place for camp. So we're really looking forward to that. We also are going to have 2 weeks of Cub Scout day camp, one at Waukpamity and one at Rotary, and a Cub Scout resident program, which will be held at Rotary during the first week of August. So lots more information is going to be coming out about those programs and more details will to follow, but certainly we've got a lot of great programs set up for this summer. In terms of camp, I'm going to be starting to host roundtable similar to this one for the units that are coming to Scout BSA camp at Rotary. First one is going to be next Monday night. I haven't sent that out to the unit leaders yet, so you guys are getting the tip first. I'll send that out the next day or so. So any of you that are going to be joining us at Rotary for summer camp this summer, feel free to come, and I will record those and post them as well. So if folks are unable to make those meetings, the information will be available to you. But next Monday at 7 o'clock will be the first one of our leader roundtables for resident camp. Also, I'm going to put in a plug for staff. One of the things that we lost by not having camp last summer was the opportunity to recruit staff members. It's always our best place to recruit staff is when our current staff members, see those excellent scouts and tap them on the shoulder and say, you really should be doing this next year. It's a lot of fun. And so since we didn't have that opportunity to do that last year, I'd really encourage you, any scouts that you know or adults that are interested in possibly working with us at camp this summer. A 15-year-old can be a CIT at resident camp, and 16 and above can be part of our full-time paid staff. And that includes adults, college students, and adults as well. We have a number of positions that require 21-year-olds and above. So if you have anybody that, please, those top-notch scouts in your units, whether they be young men, young women, scouts, venturers, doesn't matter. Please send them my way, and we'd love to have them on board with us. And then I'm going to put in a quick plug for the fact that we are planning to organize a council camporee. We're going to have a council camporee this fall. It is going to be Columbus Day weekend, October 8th through 10th. And it will be at the Saratoga Fairgrounds. So look forward to more information on that. I see the question in the chat about the leader roundtables for summer camp. That's a new thing. I figure, you know what, we're going to lean into Zoom. This is I think people are getting used to the idea of being able to have these kinds of meetings, and this is going to be a very unusual preparation season for camp, just because of all the COVID regulations and possible changes that could come down the pike from DOH and others. So I figured this would be a good opportunity to just keep unit leaders informed. As I know things, I will be sharing it with you. And so join us, and my plan is to do them about once a month from next week through the start of camp. So if you're available, please, they're certainly not required, but it's just my way of being able to share information with you as I get it. And so, as I said, I will record those, and we will post them to our camp YouTube page, and they'll be posted to the website as well. So they'll be available to you. If you can't make the actual meeting, you'll be able to watch the video after the fact. Drew, I wanted to do a slide, so I don't know if that means you got to stop sharing so I can share.
You should be able to just take it.
Okay. Okay, the other thing that I wanted to share with you folks is a new change that has been introduced in the BSA camping program this year. It's a program that's short-term camp administrators. And this is a new requirement that started on January 1st of this year. And it's a requirement that applies to any district or council organized events that are overnight events up to 3 nights. So I want to stress that again, district or council organized events that go up to 3 nights that are overnight events. What that means is, if you think about some of the events that would encompass, that would be things like many of the OA events that the gentleman just discussed a short time ago, camporees, Klondike derbies, any certain training events like Baloo and IOLS. If the event is an overnight and it's less than 4 nights long, it's going to fall under this new requirement for BSA. And what that means is that each of these events needs to now meet the standards under BSA's NCAP program. NCAP is the National Camp Accreditation process. For those of us that have been involved in the resident camp game for a while, we're quite familiar with this. This is the book of standards that we must meet every year to make sure that we're running safe and quality resident camp programs. This year, BSA is being more specific as to the requirements that are part of that very long book of requirements that are going to have to apply to all short-term camping activities as well. Now, I do want to stress this again. This does not apply to unit level activities. So your unit, goes to camp for a weekend, books a cabin, goes to camp, or takes a short trip somewhere. This does not fall under those requirements there for this short-term camp administrator program. But it may have some impact on some of the things that you guys are going to be doing with the events moving forward. I just wanted to make sure that you were aware that this is coming. So essentially what is happening is that the council will designate a trained, certified short-term camp administrator who will work with the organizers of those events, the OA events, the training events, the Klondikes and the camporees, in order to ensure that the standards are being met. I know probably many of you have coordinated Klondike derbies before, or helped with the coordination of a district camporee. Those are frequently taken on by units or by, volunteers on the district level that say, yeah, I'll be the camporee chair this year for the spring camporee. We're not expecting that you're going to immediately walk in and be familiar with these standards. That's the job of this short-term camp administrator. This person is going to work with you as a partner long before the event ever takes place. Basically, once the event gets on the books, we'll connect you with a short-term camp administrator. These are all volunteers from the Twin Rivers Council. We had a training last month where we trained about 30 people that are all Twin Rivers Council volunteers and staff. And as soon as we become aware of a event that meets this definition, that is a district or council sponsored event of over one night or above, then we will attach a short-term camp administrator to that event, and that person will work with the event coordinators to make sure that you are aware of what requirements need to be met, and they'll help with all the paperwork and the other things that are involved in that. The paperwork and the evaluation of the event happens on the council level. So when we hold summer camp, the resident camp, we have teams that come in from the areas. If you've ever been in summer camp during week 1 at Rotary or Waukpamity, you recall the teams that wander around camp and check everything out. They all look very fancy and official in their Class A uniforms, and they check everything out, and then they give us a banner at the end on their way out and certify us for another season. It's that process, but on a bit of a smaller scale, because it's happening on the council level. We're basically evaluating our own programs. So what does this mean to all of you? Why are we sharing this with you guys tonight? As I said, I know that many of you are event coordinators. You are coordinating, Klondikes or camporees or OA events and things like that. You are going to need to be aware of this requirement. You're going to need to work with that short-term camp administrator to ensure that your events are meeting the standards that are laid out in the NCAP guide. But that administrator is going to help you. They're going to walk you through it. They've been trained, they're experienced, they know what they're doing. If you are an event participant, so you're not coordinating any of these things, so you're like, I don't care about this, what am I going to need to know about? You may notice that some of the events may have certain new requirements that you may realize, oh, that seems different than the way we've done things in the past. That's because we're now meeting the guidelines that are laid out in the NCAP guide. For example, we have training courses that might only have 5 or 6 people attending them, or 10 people attending a Baloo course. That course now needs to have an EMT on site to make sure that we're meeting our health and safety requirements for that. So little things like that, you may notice some differences. And just as a member of the scouting community, somebody who's participating or as an organizer, our hope is that you're going to be experiencing events that meet an even higher standard of quality for safety and for quality program than you've already come to expect. We've already done great programming in the past. That's not going to change, but we're just going to get that little bit better because we're going to be meeting these guidelines that are laid out for us, best camp practices laid out for us by the BSA. So this is a training that, as I said, we did the training for about 30 volunteers last month. There are no other plans at this time because we were able to train so many people. There are no other plans in the council to train any more volunteers at this time. We'll probably do it again in a year. There are opportunities if people want. There are some courses that are offered online by National that they could sign up for to take and become a trainer. But we've put this team together. We trained them. We're starting to have regular meetings so that team can work together to make sure that we know what we're doing on these evaluations and comparing resources and documents and such. So at this time, there's not going to be any opportunities for training any additional trainers, but those trainers have gone through and we've got the calendar of all the events that are listed for the rest of the 2021 year, including district camporees and other events, and have basically been going through and taking responsibility for who's going to be aligned with which events moving forward. So, so we will have folks to work with on those events. So those are my camping announcements. Hope to see you all out at camp where you can get out to camp. And we do have weekend opportunities. Campsites are still open at our campsites, and we've got the fishing derbies that are happening at the 2 camps. We've got other Klondike type events that have been going on. I know Turning Point just had a successful event, so we do have stuff. Camping is still happening in the council. Camping is still happening in scouting, and we're really looking forward to being able to get out as the weather gets a little better, to doing even more with those opportunities moving forward. Question about the stimulus of the new rule. I don't know that it's necessarily going to increase the cost very much. These are more about meeting. There's some paperwork stuff involved. There's really not much that would be associated with this that's going to increase costs. It's more like making sure that a dietitian has reviewed the menus of the events that we're doing, so to make sure that the food that we're serving is of good quality and appropriate for the event. It's making sure that we have the right trained volunteers on hand for running an event. There's making sure that there's health and safety checks that are being done. None of this really should increase the cost of any of our events. It's not that kind of a regulation. And really what the impetus for something like this is really just to ensure that all events that are happening under the BSA brand, whether they be week-long resident camps or whether they be short-term camping programs that are being operated by districts and councils, that it is run safely and run to a quality level. And really, a lot of these requirements have sort of been in place in the past. One of the things that's happening with this is it's kind of putting all the pieces together in one place and having a designated person who's responsible for ensuring that these requirements are taking place. So we do have a dietitian that has volunteered to work with us. The wife of one of our short-term camp administrators actually is a registered dietitian. So we'll be getting the menus for all the events. We've asked already for those groups that, like the NYLTs and the Wood Badges and other events that we know are happening later in the year, that know that they're happening, to give us their typical menus so we can have them run by the dietitian earlier rather than later. But that's just one example of a type of a requirement that you meet under this. As I said, if you're, yes.
Brian, a quick question, particular to let's say a camporee, district camporee, or the Scout Klondike.
Mm-hmm.
The troops traditionally have built their own menus, with the boys giving the youth giving the direction for the menu. To have those reviewed by a dietitian is going to increase lead time significantly if that is the case.
Nope, that's not a requirement, Tom. When units are preparing their own food, like at a camporee or a Klondike or something like that, that does not fall under the dietitian review. That would be if we were providing the food as part of the program. So you go to a Wood Badge course and there's a menu that is provided by the staff for the first weekend. We need to do that. An OA event, we need to make sure that the menu is reviewed. But if the Scouts are preparing their own meals, that's not applicable.
I think the closest thing that would apply is some districts put on camporee-wide barbecues or something like that, and that would be the closest thing that would apply to the mass group here.
Yeah. Any other questions for me?
Brian, I had a quick question. Do you have the dates for the Cub Scouts 1 week at Waukpamity?
The day camp at Waukpamity, and Tori's on, so she'll correct me if I'm wrong, but is week 6. So that would be August 8th to 14th. And Tori, if I screwed that up, just go ahead and log on. And for the day camp at Rotary is week 3, which is the 3rd week of July. So it'd be the 4th, the 11th, so it'd be the 18th. July 18th would be the day camp week, or really July 19th, because it's Monday, would be the week at Rotary. And then the resident camp for Cub Scouts is going to be the first week of August.
Yeah, the Cub Scout program, it's you were just about right. It's the 9th to the 13th. So it just goes Monday through Friday, not the Sunday to Saturday.
Right.
But perfect.
Yep.
And then I'd just like to see your meetings. Can I pick up an email for that, or is that on the council?
I'm going to be sending out an email to all the, I've got all the contacts for all the troops that are signed up for camp this summer. I'm going to blast that out to everybody. Yes, I'll be putting it on the council calendar as well for that. And anybody's welcome.
Thank you.
Yep.
One last question for you in the chat, Brian.
CITs are normally still at camp at week 3. Is that still the case? Yes. So the way our CIT program works is that our CITs come in during our staff week, which is the same week that they were talking about earlier with the NYLT program. That's June 26th week, I believe, is this year, somewhere in that neighborhood. The scouts come in as CITs in the middle of that week. They do the second half of our staff week with us. They do the first 2 weeks of camp as part of their official training. It's a fantastic program. It's really kind of modeled a lot on kind of a student-teacher kind of a progression, in the sense that the scouts learn by observing first, and then as the time goes by, they take on a little bit more and more responsibility. And so, and it's also a program where their time is split in half. Half the day they are observing and supporting our instructional goals within the program areas, and the other half of the day they go off and they're scouts. They go get to work on merit badges, they can take COPE, they can go work on BSA Guard, what have you. So they do essentially a 2.5 week program, the second half of staff week plus weeks 1 and 2. And then once that is over with, assuming everything's worked out well, you know, that they're showing promise, then we would invite them to remain on as an intern for all or part of the rest of the summer. That's for weeks 3 through 6. And if they serve as an intern during that time, there is no cost for that. There is a cost for the initial training. It's equivalent to 1 week of camp, and they get 2.5 weeks experience to do that. But if they stay past that week 2, they do not pay, but they, you know, they're not paid, but they do not pay. And they still have half days. So they work for us for half day doing some support in the instructional areas, and the other half of the day they are scouts. So they could essentially spend the entire summer at camp, spending a half a day of every single day that they're at camp, just run around being a scout, and do it all for the cost of 1 week of camp. So it's a tremendous value. And it's, you know, I know we've got some folks on here that have had kids go through the program or have served on staff, and I think I can say that quite often the scouts come back changed. They come back, you know, having matured and having really learned a lot in that time. We got a few gentlemen on the call here that are also staff members, and you saw earlier how mature and how wonderful they are. So I'm going to take total credit for that. So yeah, so CIT program is fantastic, and it's a great feeder program for our staffing. The training does conflict with NYLT. That's the one challenge we run into, especially this year, since there isn't the second course at Waukpamani later in the season. We do need them to choose one or the other, because the program does conflict. The training portion does conflict with the NYLT course.
Great. Cool. Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
All right, up on your screen now, you should see some quick dates coming up that I pulled off of the calendar today. This coming weekend, we have the Scout Ice Fishing Day at Waukpamani. There's going to be a fishing merit badge at 9 a.m. There's going to be a belt loop for Cub Scouts starting at 11. Cost is $10 per scout. Registration to the patch. I also believe, Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, but there is still openings and teams for the ice fishing competition. For this Saturday. I saw the registration is still open for that as well, for anyone who's interested. Am I right?
Still open. I was just on the new website updating that page, and registration is still open.
Great. Thank you, sir. You'll also see on the new website, registration is open for the STEM Virtual Twilight Day Camp, April 5th through the 10th. That's over spring break. There's individual sessions. I think there's 10 NOVA awards total. I'm sure Tori can correct me if I'm wrong on that, but they already have instructors lined up. They have an entire program lined up. You can check the times, the registrations. I think it's $10 for each NOVA award. Correct, Tori?
Yes, it is. And you're right, it is. There's 11 full NOVA awards that are going to be offered. They're $10 a course, or $100 for if you want to do all of them. Registration is open. We have gotten confirmation from NASA of an astronaut. We just don't know if it's a male or female or a name yet, to do a closing campfire on Saturday morning. I will just put it out there, is get it out to your units. This is for Cub Scouts, because registration went live on Thursday of last week, and we already are at 81 registrants for this. And some of them, the classes are a max size of 20, just to make sure that the kids are getting the full program for it, and getting that attention and getting something from it. So if you got some Cub Scouts that want to take advantage of this, I would highly suggest getting on there, because they are selling out very quickly. And as Drew said, we have some awesome instructors, engineers, astronomers, all kinds scientists. So it's going to be a really great week. So if you get a chance, get it out there to your units because it is filling up quickly. Thanks, Drew.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Upcoming in April and May, we have two of the most requested trainings that we have possible. Intro to Outdoor Skills, IOS. That's April 16th and 17th at Camp Wacaponomy. Then we have the Blue, the Basic Adult Outdoor Orientation, May 8th and 9th at Rotary Scout Reservation. They will have COVID precautions to them as well, but the registrations for those, again, up on our website. And then finally, Brian touched quickly on the council camporee, so I will let that sit, but there are the dates for you. Saratoga Fairgrounds, mark your calendars, more details to come. That will be Cubs and Scouts BSA and crews and everybody. So it'll be one of our big camporees once again. So that's what I have for you in the quick bits of information. I can give Mark, do you want to touch real fast on your the website as you thought? We're running a little over, but I know it's important. So
I can do that. I can do this really, really fast, Drew, if you'd like. I need screen sharing though.
You could just take it. Oh no, you're not all right, yeah, a second. Where are you? There you are. Make co-host.
All right. Should be seeing my page now. I'm going to do this really quickly and then you guys can get on there and click around. This afternoon, the new council website did launch. A couple of new features I'll do really quickly here. One, we've got a menu back for navigation, so all of our pages are quick and easy to find. We have a new council directory. Click there, and by district and position and by committees, you can find people, send an email, communicate. We have our summer camp opportunities with links for more information and to register. All of that's live. Also on the homepage, we have a spot where we can put in quick little highlights or news articles that really don't belong on their own page, but people can find information weekly. We also embedded a front page calendar of the next 30 days throughout the council, everything that's going on over the next month. At the bottom of that, you can link to the full calendar. I'll get to that in a second. Also on the homepage, we embedded a feed to the council's Facebook page. A question we're commonly asked is, how do we get information? How does a unit or a district or an individual get information on the website? This is probably the quickest way. Do a Facebook post, share it to the council, and it is embedded right on the homepage. I'll show you the calendar. You can get to it a bunch of different ways. But the full council calendar page, I want to show you the filter. So you can actually filter out the council into districts. You can filter it by categories just for training. If you just want the popcorn dates, anything that just has to do with Scouts BSA resident camp, you can apply those filters. The other thing you can do is subscribe. This button right here, once you apply a filter, or if you want the entire council calendar, you subscribe and this will embed it. I did it for my Outlook. So now the council calendar, I can hit a button in my Outlook and I can view my personal calendar up against the council's calendar. As if we make a date, time, location change, any sort of information change on the council website, that'll automatically feed your personal calendar. So new feature there. We've got under volunteer resources, what I've asked our team at the Council Service Center to do is if they've got a call, 3 questions in a week, let's drop the information under volunteer resources. So we get questions all the time on the council's refund policy. How do we get a certificate of insurance? So those type of things will fall under volunteer resources. We also have district pages, as well as Scout Shop, Council Map. We also have links to national sites for your Scout book, joining Scout Shop, and the national website. So I invite everybody to get in there and play around. There are obviously going to be a couple of links that didn't quite make the transition. I'm spending quite a bit of time just making sure all of those individual clicks and links are live and working. If you notice something, send us a quick note. We've got a standing meeting every Monday morning for website updates, including changes to the council directory, changes to the calendar, anything like that.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. And
You're
before we
welcome.
get into any further questions or whatnot, we have a next roundtable up on your screen. It's going to be March 29th, same time. We're going to have representatives from Wood Badge here, and then also we're going to get into whatever program and registration details we have on Scouts BSA Summer Camp, and then also Cub Scouts Summer Camp. We'll provide as much updates as we possibly have to everybody at that time and have the leaders of those programs here for us then. So with that, is there any questions for the group that anybody would like to go over? Jeffrey, I see that Rihanna covered your question. Sorry for the confusion on that. And if not, I appreciate everyone's
Drew?
time. I went over a
Drew?
little bit. Oh, well.
Drew, I'm looking at the Facebook post from this weekend, and I see kids not doing social distancing and not wearing masks. More evident on troop activities than the actual full activity at Waukpamani. And I'm a bit concerned that we're not making certain that we're being COVID compliant.
I would have to take a look at that post. I don't know in which event it is, so let me get into that, Joe. I don't have any answers for you right now, but
I understand you don't have an answer.
our encouragement is everybody continue to be COVID compliant so that well, we can continue to be and do what we've been doing and progressing through this. So we've come a long way, and we want to be able to continue to do that. So no, that's a great point. I appreciate you bringing it up, Joe. Thank you. All right. As I mentioned, I'm going to hang out until everyone's gone. So if anybody has any questions they want to hang out and linger with, feel free to. But I appreciate everyone's time. Thank you so much. I hope you found it worth your time. And we're going to continue doing them hopefully monthly. And have a great night. Appreciate everyone's time. Thanks, guys.
Hey, Drew?
Yes, sir.